Hi, I am Khadim Moidin, Assistant Professor, Department of Management Studies, APK College of Arts and Science. So today we are going to talk about financial management subject. In this subject, we are going to talk about the first unit, that is Introduction of Financial Management. So in this unit, we are going to talk about definition of financial management, functions of financial management, goals of financial management, organization of financial function, and sources of finance. So before going to the definition, so first let us see about the what is finance. So finance is the lifeblood of any business firm. So if you may have a very good financial plan, but when it will be implemented, when it will come into existence, only because of finance. So without the finance, it will be only a dream, not it won't come into existence. So next, let us go for the definition of financial management. So financial management is that managerial activity which is concerned with the planning and controlling of the firm's financial resources. So financial, like other managerial activity, we are also having the financial management activity like human resource management, materials management, production management. So we are having financial management activity. So it is related to two aspects. Number one, planning. Number two, controlling of firm's financial resources. So first, let us plan for the financial resources. So when we require the finance, how much finance we require, and how we are going to procure. So all those things we have to plan first of all. Second thing, we have to control whatever the financial resources we have collected. So where we are going to invest, when we are going to invest, how much return we can get it back. So everything will come under the financial management. So next, let us see the finance functions. So finance functions will be classified into four categories. Number one, investment or long-term asset mix decisions. Number two, financing or capital mix decisions. Number three, dividend or profit allocation decisions. Number four, liquidity or short-term asset mix decisions. So first, let us see the investment or long-term asset mix decisions. It involves the decision of allocation of capital or commitment of funds to long-term assets that would yield benefits in the future. So every company, they require finance for making investments. So they have to plan for the investment. That is, so in which assets they want to invest, how much they have to invest, when they have to invest, and so when they can get it back return on investment. So everything they have to decide. Number two, it also involves the decision of acquiring funds or capital in order to meet the investment needs of the firms. So in this decision, actually every company, they have to plan, so when they are going to mobilize the funds. Next, we are going to see the financing or capital mix decisions. So this decision involves the decision of acquiring funds or capital in order to meet the investment needs of a firm. So every company, they have to acquire the funds, then only they can go for the making investment in current assets, also in fixed assets. So they require finance. How they are going to mobilize the funds, when they are going to mobilize the funds, so how they are going to procure the funds. So everything will come under the financing or capital mix decisions. It is also called as capital structure. It means debt and equity mix. So we can procure the capital as issue of shares or issue of bonds or issue of debentures, or we can get it from the bank. So many sources of capitals are available. So a company has to decide which source they can go, whether they want to go for fully equity capital or they want to go for the debt instruments or mixture of both. So next, the finance manager has to decide when, where and how to acquire the funds, and he also determined that the best combination of debt and equity in order to increase the return and decrease the risk. So ultimate goal of finance, procuring the finance is we have to increase the return, also decrease the risk. So next, let us go for the third decision, that is dividend or profit allocation decision. So profit, when it will come, so after running a firm, after completing a particular year, a company may get profit or loss. So if they get profit, so the profit, the management can decide whether they want to distribute all the profits to the shareholders, or they can retain all the profits, or they can share some of the profit and retain some of the profit. So these decision, yeah, as a manager has to take it in this decision. So the finance manager must decide whether the firm should distribute all the profits or retain them, or distribute a portion and retain the balance. If the company distribute all the profits, so it is not advisable for the company in the beginning stage to distribute all the profits as dividend to the shareholders, because they may require the future requirements of the funds. So that time the dividend will, that time the funds will be required, so they can retain those profits as retained earnings. Or if they are already running a company, if they have crossed more than 5 years or 10 years, they may distribute profit as dividend. Through that, they can increase the market value of the firms. So next, let us go for the liquidity or short-term asset mix decision. So in this decision, the current asset should be managed efficiently for safeguarding the firms against the dangers of illiquidity or insolvency. So that every company, they should not only make the investment all the finance in long-term assets, they also concentrate on investment in short-term assets. That is cash in hand, cash in bank, and stock, or investment in sundry debtors or bills receivable, etc. So these are the short-term assets. If they invest, they can easily meet out that current obligation. So every company, they have to run the business, they require finance. So day-to-day requirements they have to meet out, or weekly requirements or monthly requirements they have to meet out. For example, they may have to pay the salary, they may have to pay the wages, they may have to pay the electricity bill. For everything they require finance. So some of the sources of finance they have to retain for short-term assets. They have to meet out the short-term requirements. So in this stage, as the finance manager, you have to decide how much finance is required for the short-term requirements or working capital requirements. So if you retain all the profits as working capital, so you can't get any return out of the working capital amount. For example, so you require 10 lakhs per month as working capital, you may retain or maintain 10 lakhs as working capital. Instead of that, if you are retaining 20 lakhs as working capital, that extra 10 lakhs you can't get any profit. At the same time, if you maintain just 5 lakhs instead of 10 lakhs, so you will become as insolvency position or illiquidity position. That is also danger to the firm. So as a finance manager, you have to think about the profitability, liquidity, and also risk level of the company. So next, let us go for the finance manager role. So what are the roles as a finance manager has to play in a firm? So first one, they have to raise the funds which is required for the investment in organization. So how much fund is required? So when they require, so what are the sources they can procure the finance? As the finance manager has to take the decision. Second one, allocation of funds. So after collecting the funds, so those funds should be allocated effectively and efficiently. So then only we can achieve the objectives of the organization. We can maximize the profit, we can maximize the wealth of the shareholders. So we have to allocate the funds in a proper manner in current and fixed assets. Third one, as the finance manager, we have to plan for the profit. So we can't distribute all profit as dividend. So we can't retain all profit as retained earnings. So we have to definitely make a combination of, we have to distribute some of the profit as dividend, and we have to retain some of the profit for future requirements. And fourth one, understanding of capital markets. So all the financial dealings or the transaction of the company is directly related to the capital market. So if we are declaring any dividend, automatically it will affect our share prices. Our share prices will increase if you give more dividend, or if you don't give any dividend, so automatically our market value of the shares will come down. So we have to understand about the capital market movements. And next one, maintaining accounting records. So yeah, as per the Companies Act 1956, every company has to maintain books of accounts. It is mandatory one. So every year the company has to audit their books of accounts, and they have to submit their books of accounts to the income tax department and also to the public, and they have to publish in leading newspaper. And last one, tax planning. So an organization has to reduce the tax, then only they can maximize the return. So as a finance manager, you have to plan for the tax. So next, let us talk about the goals of financial management. So financial management has two goals. One is profit maximization, second one shareholders wealth maximization. So profit maximization is nothing but, so it means maximizing the rupee income of the firm. So profit is nothing but it is the difference between selling price and total cost. So while maximizing the profit, a firm either produce maximum output for a given amount of output, or uses the minimum input for producing a given output. It means there are two ways you can maximize the profit. Either one, you can maximize the sales or maximize the selling price. Another one, you can reduce the cost. So either way you can maximize the profit. So profit is considered as the most appropriate measure of a firm's performance. Next one is wealth maximization. So wealth is nothing but it means maximize the net present value or wealth of the course of action to the shareholders. Because shareholders are the owner of the company, so they have invested in lakhs, crores, so they want to get it back more money as the dividend, as the share value. So net present value of a course of action is the difference between the present value of its benefits and present value of its cost. So how much benefit we can get it back and how much cost has incurred, so that difference is called net present value. If the net present value is high, the company can maximize their wealth. So wealth maximization principle implies that it is the fundamental objective of the firm to maximize the market value of the shares. So how they can maximize the market value of the shares? So they have to declare, they have to give more dividend to the company. So then only to the shareholders, then only they can maximize the market value of the shares. So there should be a risk and return trade-off. So risk and return move in tandem. That is, if you are taking more risk, you will get more return. If you want to take less risk, your expected return also will be very less. The return and risk relationship is the risk-free rate plus risk premium. Risk-free rate, it means it is a compensation for the time. Risk premium is for how much risk you are taking. For example, if you are investing in share market, the risk is more, at the same time you can get more return. If you are investing in fixed deposit of any bank, so your risk level will be very less, so automatically your return also will be very less. So organization of finance functions. So finance function is the very important or the crucial for the survival of any firm. Without the financial management, a company cannot achieve their objectives. So if the company want to maintain or determine the solvency of the firm, so they have to concentrate on financial activities. So centralization of finance function can result in a number of economies of the firm. So they can reduce the cost, they can maximize the profit. Next, let us going to see the organization of finance functions. Every organization, they have the chief financial officer or chief executive officer for finance. So under that there are two persons are there. One is called treasurer, another one is called controller. So what is the job for the treasurer? So as the treasurer, they have to handle the cash, they have to handle the credit, and they have to raise the funds, and they have to maintain the capital budget, and they have to manage the portfolio. So as the controller, so a person has to handle the financial management, accounting and cost accounting management and tax management, and they have to handle the data processing management, and they have to go for the internal audit. So these are the functions are under the controller. So next, so status and duties of finance executive. The very big organization, there is a chief financial officer, and medium scale and small scale institution, they may have the finance manager or director of finance or the controller of finance. The role of treasurer and controller, two more officers, that is treasurer and controller, will be appointed under the supervision of chief financial officer. The treasurer function is to raise up and manage the company funds, while the controller expenses whether the funds are correctly spent, applied. Next, let us go for the source of finance. So every company they require finance. So without the finance they can't run the business, already we have discussed. So how they can procure the finance? There are two ways they can procure the finance. One is long-term source of funds, another one short-term source of finance. So long-term sources, they can go for the issue of shares. Issue of the shares, again we can classify into equity shares and preference shares. Second one, issue of debentures or bonds. Third one, they can go for the retained earnings. Fourth one, they can go for the long-term loans, and last one they can go for the venture capital. So shares, so issue of shares. So first, what is the meaning of share? So share is nothing but it is a part of capital. So we can classify the shares into two categories. Number one, equity shares. Number two, preference shares. What is the meaning of equity shares? So equity share, they don't have any preferential right first of all, and second one, their dividend is not fixed, and they can enjoy the good dividends if the company is in prosperity, and they are also taking much risk because they may get the return or not. And next one, they also have the rights to vote in the annual general meeting. So they are having the voting rights. So they are the owner of the company, so they can control over the management of the company. So next one, we can classify the shares as preference shares. So preference shareholders, they are having two preferential rights. Number one, while getting the dividend before the equity shareholders at the end of each year. And next one, while winding up of the company, the company will first settle the preference capital to the preference shareholders first. After that only they will settle to the equity shareholders. So the preference shares we can classify into different categories. First one, cumulative preference share capital, and next one non-cumulative, and third one participative, and fourth one non-participative, and fifth one redeemable, and sixth one irredeemable. So what is the meaning of cumulative? If any one financial year the company has not earned much profit, so that dividend, that year dividend will be added in the next year's profit, and the company they will give the dividend along with the next year's dividend. So that is called cumulative. Non-cumulative means, so a company, if one financial year they are not given any dividend to the preference shareholders, they won't give it in the next year. That is called non-cumulative preference shares. Third one, participating. So participating means, so the preference shareholders they can participate in the surplus profit earned by the company in any one financial year. Non-participating means, so they can't get any surplus profit, whatever the profit has fixed, so that only they can get it. And next one, redeemable. Redeemable means, that is these preference share capital they can redeem after a particular certain period of time. Irredeemable means, so they can't get it back the preference share capital until the company is wind up. So next one is debentures, issue of debentures. So a debenture is a debt instrument issued by a company for a specific period of time to maturity for a specific rate of interest. So it is a certificate issued by the company under its shields acknowledging a debt due to its holders. So every company they will issue the debentures as a debt instrument for the given period of time for the specified rate of interest. So next one, so types of interest. So first one NACD debentures, second one mortgage debentures, third one convertible debentures, and last one non-convertible debentures. NACD debentures means, so if any company issue the debentures, they won't give any supporting documents to the debt holders. So that is called NACD debentures. So second one mortgage debentures. Mortgage debentures means if any company want to raise the funds through issue of debentures, they may mortgage their assets and then they will raise the debentures from the debt holders. That is called mortgage debentures. Third one convertible debentures. Convertible debentures means, so the debentures may be convertible into equity shares after a certain period of time. So that is called convertible debentures. Non-convertible means, so they can't convert into equity shares any specific period of time. So that is called non-convertible debentures. So next, let us see the differences between debentures and shares. So shares is the part of the capital. Debentures constitute the loan to the company, and shareholders are the owner of the company, and debenture holders are the debt holders or the creditors of the company. If shareholders enjoy the voting rights, they may select the managing director or director of the company. But debenture holders, they are not enjoying such rights. So these are the differences between debenture holders and equity shareholders. So next, third source is available, retained earnings. So retained earnings already undistributed profit for the previous year. So that is called retained earnings. So if the company has not distribute their profit as dividend, so those profit are called as retained earnings. So this is also one of the very important sources of finance for the company for future financial requirements. And fourth one, long-term loans. So loans are loans and advances, they can get it back and they can get it from the any banking institution or non-banking financial institutions. So if they are getting for the longer period of time, will come under this heading. So next, let us go for the venture capital. So the venture capital, it represents any financial requirements we require for the very risky project. Okay. So those risky project we can get it as venture capital or the seed capital from any financial institution. So specialized financial institution has established by central government or state government or financial institutions. For example, venture capital scheme of IDBI, venture capital scheme of ICICI is an example for getting venture capital. It is the capital for the very risky projects like Kudankulam power plant and any coal mines. So these are the very examples for the venture capital. So next, let us go for the short-term financial sources. Number one, trade credit. Number two, commercial banks, they are giving their short-term source of finance as loans, cash credit, overdraft, discounting of bills. And number three, we can get the advances received from the customers. And number four, we can issue the commercial papers. And number five, lease financing or hire purchasing finance. And number six, factoring. So these are the short-term source of finance is available for any company to raise funds. Number one, let us discuss the trade credit. Trade credit is nothing but it is the credit given by our suppliers for raw materials. So it is for the specific short-term period. It may be for 15 days or 1 month or 45 days or 60 days or whatever it may be. So we can repay that amount after the specific period. Number two, we can get the loans from the commercial banks. The commercial banks, they are giving short-term loans as working capital loan, and we can also get cash credit from the commercial bank, and also we can enjoy the overdraft facility from the commercial bank. What is the overdraft? So if we are having only 5,000 rupees in our bank account, we may withdraw up to 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees. That facility is given by the bank. So remaining amount, whatever we are withdrawing more than our bank balance, we have to pay the interest and we have to repay it within a shorter period of time. So this is the overdraft. And next one, discounting of bills. A lease represents, it is a contractual agreement where the lessor grants the lessee right to use an asset in return for periodic lease rental payments. So there are two types of leases are available. One is finance lease, another one operating lease. For example, if any farmer requires any crop cultivation machineries, they no need to purchase in lands, they can get it as lease from the financial institution for lease rentals. So next, let us go for the hire purchase system. So the main features of the hire purchase system, that is the hirer, the purchaser of the asset, purchase the particular asset and gives it to hire to the hiree, that is the utilizer or user of the particular asset. The hirer pays the regular hire purchase installments over a specific period of time. So these installments cover interest as well as the principal repayment. When the hirer pays the last installment, the title of the asset is transferred from the hiree to the hirer. For example, if any company wants any two-wheeler or four-wheeler, they can go for the hire purchase system. It is also called as EMI system. So they have to pay every month the monthly installment. If they are paying the last installment, the particular asset will be owned by them. So next, let us go for the factoring. The factor is a financial institution which offers a service related to management and financing of debts arising from the credit sales. So nowadays, every organization they have to go for the credit sales. If they couldn't able to collect the money from any customers, they can hand over the accounts receivable to the factoring organization. The factoring organization will collect the money from the customers and they will hand it over to the company. For that, they will charge certain amount, that is called factoring. For example, SBI Factoring and Commercial Services Limited and Canara Bank Factoring Limited. So let us conclude. So we have seen the definition of financial management, functions of financial management, goals of financial management, organization of finance function and sources of finance. Thank you.